Welcome back to Season 2 of the Discount Property Investor Podcast. Our mission is to share with you what we have learned from our experience and the experience of others to help you make more money investing like a pro. We want to teach you how to create wealth by investing in real estate the Discount Property Investor way. Make sure you never miss an episode and download the Discount Property Investor app in Google Play or iTunes today. To jumpstart your real estate investing career, visit freewholesalecourse.com, the most complete free course on wholesaling real estate ever. Thanks for tuning in.
All right, guys, welcome back to the Discount Property Investor Podcast. Your host, Mike Slane, joined with co-host
David Dodge. Hey, guys.
All right. So you guys, if it's your first time listening, thank you so much for joining us. We always recommend people start real estate investing by learning to wholesale. And doing that, we suggest checking out our course, the freewholesalecourse.com, 100% free, shows you everything you need to know to get started wholesaling real estate. So that's freewholesalecourse.com. That's a great way to get started. You learn your numbers by buying properties at a discount and selling them to landlords and flippers. And we're very excited today. We have a seasoned landlord with us. Dave, you want to introduce our guest?
Yes, we got an awesome guest today, guys. We have Mr. Al Williamson. He is a professional engineer, a full-time real estate investor, and the author of several real estate books, including 40 Ways to Increase Your Net Income of Your Rental Property and Building Wealth with Inner City Rentals. Al began investing back in 1996. Al, welcome to the show. How are you, man?
Awesome. Thanks, guys, for having me here. It's great here. I love the place you guys got here for me.
Cool. Absolutely. We're happy to have you, man.
You guys got those nice armrests. I like that.
Yeah, these chairs are great, man. We love them. This is our new setup, man. We just got this set up just a couple days ago, so we're real excited.
That's podcasting from a lazy boy. I love it.
That's right. We are really excited to have you on the show today because we do a lot of things in real estate, right? We wholesale, we fix and flip. We have about 50 rental properties. Mike's a broker, so we have a brokerage. We do some lending. We do some creative financing. We basically do a lot of things, right? But one thing that we don't do yet is short-term rentals. And you seem to know quite a bit about it. So we are really, really happy to have you on the show today. And you do Airbnbs as well as long-term rentals, or are you just in the Airbnb game?
Yes, I do both. I like to diversify. I think every landlord, especially that has a multifamily property, has got to have at least one short-term or flexible term rental. It just makes sense. It opens up a door of opportunities that you're never going to find as a traditional landlord. And in fact, I think it's less risky to operate furnished rentals than it is to operate just as a traditional landlord.
Really?
Absolutely.
That seems so counterintuitive to me.
Yeah. Let's talk about that.
It is because the folks haven't really thought about the whole ladder. Because of course, Mike, you can leave your place vacant, right, and just bleed and pain and bandage your wounds, and then you can operate as a traditional landlord. And one water heater goes out, takes your profits. A leak, sewer line breaks, all that takes your profits for the whole year. And then you can operate as a furnished rentals and make about 30% more. This is with the exact same property we're talking about. You can make 30% more if you just simply furnish it and rent it long-term furnished rentals. Nothing new with there, right? Mm-hmm. Then you could take another step and do use sites like Airbnb, VRBO, HomeAway. And I call that flexible terms because you're flexing your terms of how long people stay. Sure. And you can flex terms with dogs and all kinds of stuff. You can add cars, rental cars. You can just flex your terms, and you can make between 3 and 5 times more than a traditional landlord with the exact same property. Okay.
Yeah, interesting.
Changing operating mode. And then from there, you can go up to aiming for corporate rentals and make up to 10 times more on a net income with the exact same property. So that's why I say If you're aiming for corporate rentals, if that doesn't work for you, if you fail at that, you can do Airbnb. And
Tell it.
yeah, if you fail at Airbnb, you can do long-term rentals, long-term furnished rentals. And if you fail at that, then you can do the least profitable, most risky thing, which is being a traditional landlord.
That's crazy.
Isn't that nuts?
That doesn't have any safety nets. You go right to bleeding.
Right.
Tell us more about corporate rentals. I'm not even really familiar.
Yeah, that's
with
one
people
thing that we don't
getting
do.
into that. So yeah, could you describe that? I assume that's part of your portfolio then.
It is. I aim for corporate rentals. I use Airbnb as a backup strategy if I can't find a business person on a business travel or rent directly to a company.
So is that the main goal, Al, is whenever you buy a property and you furnish it, you're trying to do the corporate before the Airbnb? Airbnb is more of a backup for you?
Absolutely. That's exactly right. I use that whole ladder there because oftentimes there are companies probably right next door to you guys who are bringing in employees for training programs.
Wait, say that one more time?
They bring in employees for training programs and they put them up at extended stay hotels or hotels.
Oh, yeah, and that's pretty common, actually. So corporate rentals, what's your term typically? What's the average term?
Well, corporations and companies bring in people for a number of different reasons and for different periods of time. Sometimes they're staff level, moving their staff around just to open up, say they're tilting up a new Target store. They have to send their project managers out there for, it could be 13 weeks to set up a new store. And they would put that person in a hotel or hopefully one of my corporate rentals directly to them. And they would save a lot more money if they came and gave that employee a full house where that person is more comfortable and that employee is more productive than being in a hotel. I don't know. Have you guys stayed in a hotel for a couple of weeks at a time?
Oh, it's terrible, man. I don't even like staying more than 2 or 3 days at a time.
That's exactly right. That's why there's this really big opportunity to skip tourists and wherever a regular place, just furnish it, make a connection with a business person or a company, and save them money by letting that person stay at your furnished rental. So corporate rentals, yeah.
Al, tell us how you got started with the short-term rentals. It says, we were talking earlier, and you were telling me that you started investing back in '96. So you've been doing in the game for quite some time.
Yeah.
How did you get started with the short-term rentals, though?
When I was working on that book, 40 Ways to Increase the Net Income of Your Rental Property. Yeah. So I used Airbnb was just one of the strategies because I started the book because, truth be told, landlords doing rentals is a great way to build your equity, but it's terrible on your cash flow because you get wiped out if you maintain your property.
Right.
And people just don't want to talk about that. I thought I was the only one. I was being careful. I was maintaining my properties. I was doing a lot of work myself. And then at the end of the year, I look back on my cash flow, and say, this is terrible, but thank God there's depreciation that make up for it. That makes up for it. But cash flow wise, there's something wrong because and then also relying on just one source of cash flow. How crazy is that? Just relying on your renter. I mean, what kind of business does that? It's just so antiquated. So I started back when I needed a short-term rental. I was working in 2012 in San Francisco. Have you guys ever heard of the Alcatraz Island?
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually
a project manager. Yeah. Al Capone. I was a project manager for putting solar panels on that island, which is now a part of the National Park Service. Mm-hmm. So I was in charge of that, and I was in San Francisco for a year and a half, and I needed a place to stay for 3 months after my lease ran out, and I had a budget from the National Park Service for housing, and I needed a place, so I started Airbnb around San Francisco back in 2011 and 12, just when it was picking up, it was becoming a thing a real company back in that time. It was gaining popularity. So it just so happened that I had a budget and I needed a place to stay, and I wanted to see more of San Francisco. So that's what happened. But it was at that time, had more of a bed and breakfast flair to it, where people were bringing me cookies, they were carrying my luggage up, and they were treating me. They wanted to interact with me.
That's what. Yeah, I remember. It seemed like it was more like couch surfing back when it started, where it was more people renting out a room than a full house. Is that kind of true? It's evolved now into where people are mostly renting out houses, right?
No. So it has many different facets to it. So there are still lots of people renting out rooms. Absolutely.
Okay.
That's going strong.
Okay, gotcha.
Don't think that hasn't gone anywhere. It's just in 2015, Airbnb came out with a category called Business Travel Ready, where you only qualify for that if you did not share your rental, because they were aiming after business travelers. Okay.
Wait, say that again. So business travel ready is like an option in there?
That became an option in 2015, where they just said, hey, we're going to promote your listing, which you can't live in. So they're talking to landlords. We're going to promote your listing to just business travelers. Okay.
Cool.
That means you can't have a pet in there, and they had all these rules back in 2015. It's changed now, but 2015 they said, if you're not living there, we will promote it just to business travelers, and you need to have some things like locks where they can let themselves in and different things like that.
Sure.
So at that time, so from 2011 to 2015, I was like, this is just going to be one of my 40 ways. But when it came to where I don't have to share a place, I don't have to carry luggage, I don't have to take anyone cookies and all that type of thing, and I really need to interact with that guest. That's when I said, okay, let me test this out. And that's what happened. I ran some, I took my 8-unit property, I call it my laboratory. I dedicated 1 unit to Airbnb and VRBO, and I ran some experiments. And for example, I had 3 people in 1 month stay with me, and I made a lot of money. My gross was great, and my net was pretty good. And then but I was worn out. I felt like I had just gone through finals. I did well on the test, but I was exhausted.
I love that idea, though. You've got a multi-unit building.
Yeah.
So you're getting that traditional landlord money through some of the
long term.
Yeah, the long term rentals, and then you've got a couple 1 or 2 units that you're playing with. You're testing. Right. I love that.
Yeah. That should always be tested. Yep. Yeah. Absolutely. Every multifamily, I don't care if it's a duplex, one unit should be a short-term rental. Absolutely. There's no excuse for not.
That is a great idea. And we're definitely going to do that.
Yeah. I think so. I like
that. That goes to, as a side note, a lot of landlords who are business owners, right, don't have an internet strategy at all. And this is 2019. Most landlords do not have an online strategy. And I'm like, this is crazy. What business doesn't have an online strategy now?
Right.
Yeah.
So what do you
have to at least one
strategy? Can you give me an example?
Just connecting it to Airbnb is an online strategy.
Got it. Oh, so you're saying as a landlord, people are just putting a sign in the yard or listing it on Zillow or something along those lines, right?
Well, that counts, but I tell you what, that's fading out. That's like Borders Books putting out a sign in front of their that's the same thing for Blockbuster. Didn't have an online strategy. Every company that's going out of business has a weak online strategy.
Good point. Radio Shack.
Landlords are the next in line. It should not even be a stretch in the imagination now. I've been saying this for a while. That you need a strategy.
Very interesting.
But anyway, as I was doing those experiments, doing it frequently, multiple times per month was good, but I was worn out. So I started saying, what if I test 1 month, make it 30 days and longer, 30 days, and I was able to get bookings there, no problem. And that felt a lot better. But when I looked at my net income, it was nearly the same as when I was doing those multiple times, because I had less taxes I had to pay. It didn't take up so much of my time. It was less turnover and cleaning. I wasn't going back and forth to the place all the time.
Now you're talking about corporate or long term right now?
This was just testing.
Oh, testing.
This was the testing. This is how it came to the fact that these 3, 2 months to 7 months, those rentals for business travelers is the Holy Grail. That's how I got there. And also just coming from the fact that I, as a project manager, an engineer who's overseeing different projects, there was a lot of people just like me that had those budgets. And sometimes you could pocket your housing allowance if you had created a savings. So they're motivated to do that. And that's tax-free, by the way. That housing allowance is tax-free. So I could talk to people that way. And then there's some people who are on different federal contracts who have to turn in the receipts, and they just get reimbursed for the receipts that they for their housing costs. And those guys were the absolutely Holy Grail because they just wanted to be comfortable, and they would turn over their entire budget to you if you made them extra comfortable. So it's an extremely and most like you two guys are very smart guys. You guys have been in the business a long time. You have a lot of exposure, and yet you can see why people who are very knowledgeable still aren't knowing about this category, which makes it so that I don't have any competition.
Yeah, I mean,
awesome.
the corporate, I think we should dabble in the corporate and the Airbnb, to be completely honest. The corporate's interesting to me.
Yeah.
Do you get about 30% higher rents from corporates just by furnishing it?
No. You get 30% higher from anybody by furnishing it.
Okay.
You can go much higher with corporate.
So you can go even higher.
For corporate, you should expect 8 to 10 times more on your net income per month for corporate.
8 to 10x?
8 to 10x on the exact same property just by furnishing it and talking to a business person and saving them money on what they're already spending.
Right.
You get it?
It's a good
It's
point.
a very easy thing
Maybe
to
at a hotel or whatever else. So.
They're just getting a nicer place for less than what they would have.
Yeah, now you have a really good point, man, because like at a hotel, like, man, it just sucks so bad. Like you don't even want to be in the room.
Well, you drive up in your rental car,
right?
And then you walk a half a mile to the hotel. You take an elevator, then you walk another quarter mile to the room.
Right.
You know, I mean, it's just not easy.
It's just not. Yeah.
Maybe there's a
nothing
fridge for
about it.
Maybe there isn't.
Right.
You can't cook anything. You're always eating out.
Yeah, having the ability for somebody to have a family room with like a decent couch and a television, full kitchen.
Oh man, you guys are onto something.
Yeah. You know, but all those
we're selling ourselves on it, man.
Right.
We're selling ourselves.
So you're saving your food budget because you get a food allowance. You're eating better, so you're healthier. You're you're pressing the remote on the garage door opener and sliding right into it.
That's great.
And you're saving the company money. That's that's a big win. And from a landlord's perspective or a rental owner's perspective, when one property has the cash flow of 10 properties, you don't need so many properties, and you can just relax.
Yeah, that's really cool. So what about like wear and tear? So I'm assuming your Airbnbs, you've got the shorter term vacation type guests. They're probably going to be a little bit rougher. So I guess the corporate guys are going to be a little bit more gentle. I'm just making assumptions here.
That's a good assumption.
How often are you?
That's a very good assumption.
Replacing your furniture though too? I mean, I assume you've got to keep it, looking pretty good.
Yeah.
And there is going to be some expense, right? And that's
Mike, let's expand that because you hit on a lot of good points there. First, there's two types of people. There's the tourists and the travelers. Okay, mm-hmm. The tourists are paying out of their pocket, and the traveler is paying their boss's money.
Okay.
Their mindsets are completely different. Okay, if you're spending your own money, you're looking for deals. You're gonna maybe you act like a tourist.
Right.
You're spending your boss's money where I know how to contact your boss. You're gonna be very gentle on the property, just because I can escalate if there's an issue, or I can just flame you on Twitter and drag your company's name into it. So you're really not going to do anything. And that's been the case. Then the next thing, so where the source of the money for the housing comes from is that's the main thing. That's why I only deal with someone who has some accountability and an employee type of thing. Then the next thing is just like do you guys have Motel 6s and roof, low-end hotels?
Oh, yeah.
And then you probably have what's the nicest hotel in your area?
Probably the Ritz.
The Ritz, okay. So there's a whole spectrum of housing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's a whole spectrum of furnishings as well.
Mm.
You know, the red roof or the Motel 6 still inks out a very impressive profit. Okay,
Right.
So it's all about that margin. So you can furnish it. You can make a really good budget. I have one place that I house concrete masons, just their whole crew. Okay, and they don't want luxury furnishings.
Right, because they're dirty, they're filthy, they're probably
That's right. That's right. That's right. They want a big TV. They want a sofa, and they want a little yard so they can set up their grill. And they want to send home most of the extra money. Okay.
Right.
If I put in something that's really nice, it doesn't work there. Now there's also regular folks who are on corporate travel, maybe a project manager or a small business person. They're going to want something nicer. So you got to really narrow in on who you want to serve and where you can make that margin, because you got to make an extra margin for where you are.
Right.
Every rental has a highest best use.
Yeah, and that's something that Mike and I have about 50 rental properties. They're all long term. Our goal is to get to 150, so we have 100 to buy, and we're going to try to get there in 24 months, really closer to 18 months.
Do you guys want the cash flow, or you want the rentals property?
We want the wealth. We want to get
long-term equity
for the debt, and then have someone else pay it off. So obviously, this is a cash flow game. So of course we want the cash flow, but really the main thing is we want the wealth.
Yeah, but I love the idea.
That's what rentals are for. They're for traditional landlording is for wealth accumulation.
Absolutely.
Equity. Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's not for cash flow.
Well, if we were to mix it up a little bit, let's say we, had 20 or 30 corporate rentals and 20 or 30 Airbnbs and then 100 single family long term, that would be a good diversification, as I'll say.
I really like that idea.
I really like that idea too.
You would have the cash flow and the equity if you aim for. Wait, can we pause here? I want to pause and talk about this word Airbnb.
Yeah,
hello, let's go.
Let's talk about that, because that often Airbnb is like one planet that has this big gravitational pull on it, and people never think beyond it. Okay, but it is this one in a big solar system. And it's not even the biggest one. They're just by getting away from your computer, walking away from your computer, taking a gift basket, a few chocolates into the company down the street, and talking to the office manager without you can make more. You don't have anyone. You can go directly to them. Okay.
Right.
And then there's a temporary housing, which is furnished rentals. But you're dealing with people who are in-betweeners, in between selling their house and buying a new house. And realtors need that type of option, okay?
Yeah, that's a good point.
They need tons of that. They need that. Yeah. So
we got a ton of big businesses.
And they're not going to use Airbnb for that. So there's this whole galaxy. There's many, many planets. So because of that, I just want you guys to call this short-term rentals instead of Airbnb.
No, I love that idea. That makes more sense, because again, Airbnb is just one channel. It's you have so many other channels out there, and you have channels that aren't even online, like you said. Go down the street and talk to the office manager of a company.
That's the most profitable few steps you could take.
Too, so.
Well, what I think it's like is Kleenex.
Yeah.
Kleenex is just what we all refer to as tissue paper. So Airbnb has become so synonymous with short-term rental.
Right, but the
that
thing
we
is,
we just refer to it as
you know what's so
Airbnb
crazy
now. So
though
that's
is
a great analogy.
there were so many companies before Airbnb that did the exact same thing. HomeAway and VRBO. Airbnb, in my opinion, just has a better UI.
Yeah,
That's absolutely correct.
You know, it just looks prettier.
Short-term rentals, I love it. So Al, how would you say someone could get started in this? So Dave and I, we've kind of got our foot in the door on it, and you obviously do as well. But how would a new person, because that's kind of our target market is the newer investor. How would somebody get started in short-term rentals?
You want to take that person. You want them to be a mechanic, or you want that person to be a waiter at the local street? What income level you want to talk about?
Let's do both. I mean, can you do both?
Let's talk about someone who doesn't have any money at all. Okay.
Perfect. I love it.
Okay. So a person who doesn't have any money at all, they would need to see if there's an extended stay hotel in their city. And then they would, typically there is, and they count them up and they count up, sometimes extended stay America has 3, and there might be a residence because there's different pockets of people that use these different luxury levels.
Right.
Know that.
There's probably 5 or 6 in St. Louis.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So that means that this business model that I'm talking about absolutely works. There's no question about it then, because each one of those is about $22 million to construct.
Yeah, those buildings.
And they've done more research than you can ever do. So you don't really even need to do any more research now.
Right.
Because that's saying if there's an extended stay, that means 18 days is the average, which means there's plenty of 30 days and longer stays. Okay. So there is no more research that you need to do. So you've done the research by counting up their extended stays. And then you point that out to someone who has a self-directed IRA that you can meet at your local RIA, or someone who has a little extra money. And it's then say, okay, they say, that's great. Then you say, well, why don't I go rent something? I'm going to go rent an apartment that has a little bit of parking, or rent a small house. And so I need money for the first month's rent and the security deposit and furnishings. So that could be where you guys are in St. Louis, that could be all of $10,000 maybe for that. And then they set up, and then they start marketing. Like I said, you can go. I have lots of marketing techniques. Because once you know how to market, then everything's easy after that.
Right.
Especially when you find out that you're saving companies money, local companies money, and they want to work with a local person anyway, instead of a corporate brand. Then you're overwhelmed with trying to keep up with the demand. Also, all of a sudden, that person who didn't have any money, who just used the right language and used with the right idea, can take that person's $10,000 and pay them back within 5 months.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. You're basically borrowing someone else's money to get your foot in the door.
That's right.
Your cash flow is good. It's great, really. So you can pay all that back.
Yeah.
So that's a great scenario. That's somebody that doesn't have any money. They can, get a small loan from somebody, or even partner with somebody to rent. Right. They're basically arbitraging what they're paying and what they're collecting. Very cool. Right. What's the other side of that spectrum? Like, it's somebody that's, just has money. Exactly.
Has money. Let's say at the very far other side of the spectrum is someone who has money. They may have a self-directed IRA. Okay. If same strategy, if you rent someone's property, for example, you don't have debt associated with that rental. So that slips into your IRA nicely. So you can create, working with a partner, okay, because you can't self-deal, you can't do it yourself. You can create one of these arbitrages inside of your self-directed IRA, just pumping out money each month. So you can get a bunch of those. So if you're behind in your retirement account, you can create these pretty quickly. Some machines inside of your self-directed IRA, pumping out money so you can take it out tax-deferred, tax benefit, just compounding year after year.
I know.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, I've done a couple of wholesale deals in my Roth IRA because it's great, no tax, and it's obviously money that I don't need either, so it's putting it away so it can grow. But I never thought about doing, an Airbnb / arbitrage type deal.
I mean, short-term rental
That's
slash
why I love
short-term
real estate. There's just
Yeah.
so many ways to make money, and the people that are doing the best are just the most creative, I feel like. So, man, that's really cool. I got a couple questions about touristy areas, or so like in St. Louis, I don't look at this as ever being a destination place for anybody unless you have family here. But I would imagine that that's probably a lot of the Airbnb business is friends or family coming into town. We also have a zoo, which is free. It's probably one of the only zoos in the country that's free.
Yeah.
We have some
Dave, you
sporting
guys-
teams.
Dave,
We
you
have
heard-
the science center. So we have some places, but we don't have any mountains to go skiing on. We don't have any beaches to go lay out on. So, does that affect the mindset of doing an Airbnb in a city like St. Louis versus, Tampa?
No, it doesn't. There's a couple of things we need to tease out. Is one, St. Louis is in the center of the country. There's a lot of conventions there. If you wanted to go short rentals, I call it shorts because less than 30 days, you could save a lot of companies money by just getting the biggest house that you could and allowing them to have, so they can do lodging and meetings there.
Yeah, that's smart.
In fact, in St. Louis, when I was there, I interviewed a guy who, you have that industrial area out there where all those abandoned warehouses and factories are.
Mm-hmm.
So he bought one of those and he set it up for just bachelor parties on weekends, and it ended up making about $350,000 a year just doing bachelor parties on the weekends. Okay, and so that's the other area. And he lived on the top. He was a realtor, and he just had set up. There's four floors, and he kept everyone had to stay there. They can make as much noise as they wanted, but the rules are they can't leave anywhere. So he was just blowing it up. And then also, you guys have businesses there. Anytime you have businesses, they're bringing people to St. Louis, and because they're bringing people to St. Louis, they're paying for them a place to stay. So that's constantly going on. The St. Louis airport is small, but there's always people there when I'm flying through.
Yeah, no, that's true. I mean, people come, that's for sure.
So
that's
what you're saying is there's by using that word Airbnb, it really just squashes your mindset of what's going on. You can't see the rest of the world that's going, and you just need a few of these. Each one you can make equal 10 times your cash flow. So you just need a few of them to change that. And you said you had about 5 extended stays hotels in St. Louis.
I would say at least that, Mike. There's
You're
one
shooting from the hip.
there's one or
Yeah.
two right over here across from us in Brentwood. There's a bunch of them on I-70 and I-40 when you're headed out to St. Charles or Chesterfield.
St. Charles. Each one of them has about 150, 200 rooms. Okay.
Yes, and they wouldn't spend all that money building them if they weren't renting them. So,
So what I'm saying to you, Dave, what are your chances of taking one of their customers?
high, very high.
Okay, so you got all the business that you could possibly handle right there.
Right. No, that's an awesome point. So let's talk a little, and I love how I love your mindset and your terminology of it's not. Let's not say it in terms of Airbnb. Let's talk about it more in short-term rentals because there's so many other avenues. I love that. So thank you for sharing that. That's a huge, huge gold nugget for us. So one of the reasons that I haven't done Airbnbs yet, I'll correct myself, short-term rentals yet.
He's learning.
I'm learning.
He's learning, Al. Good work.
Is because the turnover is high. Therefore, now this may not be the case, but I would just think that you're going to have higher maintenance. You're going to have higher management. So Mike and I don't manage our own properties. We're working aggressively to acquire, and you can't do both, right? So we have a property manager, but if we did, he doesn't manage short-term rentals though. We either have to find somebody to do that or we have to do it. And I just kind of want to get some feedback from you in terms of, the added maintenance or the added management that goes into that because, people are moving in and out of this place weekly sometimes, maybe not weekly, maybe monthly. But, our average tenant with a long term may be 18 to 20 months.
That's great, because that blows into what people have already made up their mind about that word Airbnb. Okay, because there are about 36% of the travel in the continental U.S. are with people who are staying between 1 to 6 months at a time.
36%.
36%. That's why you see so many of these extended stays there, and you see them keep growing with putting kitchenettes in. 36%. And then the other parts are doing those weekly stays. So I say, in my mind, and to my students, I say, you guys let them do that fast turnover. We're just going to focus on 2 months, 7 months stays. We're just going to focus on that, because there's lots of that going on, and that's what I'm saying. Once my typical stay is 4 months. Okay,
for your corporate or for
corporate?
Corporate. Okay,
4 months, and traveling healthcare professionals typically coming through.
Oh yeah, like traveling nurses or something like that. Yep.
Physical therapists, doctors, all that. As long as you see a growing, baby boomers are still growing, right? The trend is still ticking up.
Mm-hmm. Because
of that, there's going to be lots more traveling healthcare professionals. It's just going to become a stronger industry. So because of that, we set up. We only focus on these extended stays, because I don't want the turnover or the daily activity in that. And then from there, it's just setting up a series of checklists, so that you can get things done. There's not furniture being moved in and out. There's not nicks and things like that. It's just doing the laundry and setting it up for the next person, which your housekeeper does all that. And then then the housekeeper goes through, or somebody goes and does your quality control checklist to make sure, like pillowcase liners. That's one thing that's on my checklist. I like pillowcases and pillowcase liners, pillow liners, So make sure that those are on, make sure the laundry's done, make sure there's a full bottle of dishwashing liquid. All that's on my checklist, so that I don't do anything. I check my scorecard. I think I get my assistant sends me as a color-coded scorecard of my 19 extended stay rentals that I have. And if it's all green, I don't do anything that day. And if it gets red, I get on them. Well, which one of our systems failed? It's because we run it as a business and not as a job.
Right.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. Yeah. Wow. You're doing great, man. You're crushing it, dude. I love it. That's great.
Do you have any other questions for Al? Or Al, is there something else you would love to share with somebody who's interested in this? I'd love to follow that up with, where can we get more information?
Yeah. So you mentor landlords all over the country.
Right.
So tell us a little bit about your coaching business, your mentor business.
So, okay. Yeah, I would love to. So we're just kind of talking about the short-term rentals part of my business. And then I have, I call myself the world's first landlord scientist.
I love that, man. You are the landlord scientist.
I am. I've earned it because I'm documenting ways to increase your net income with your current properties and also reduce your expenses. So for you guys, let me share this. I want you to go to Home Depot and get something called Green Gobbler. It's $11, has 3 packages on it, Green Gobbler. And I want you to toss, every time you go visit your property, I want you to toss that into your sink. Okay, let it dissolve as a biologically friendly drain opener. And that will eliminate your need to go ever call a plumber again.
Mm-hmm.
By doing a little bit of very inexpensive preventative maintenance, you can wipe out the plumbing industry. Okay. That will save you guys quite a bit of money, right? Help your NOI and all that. Yeah, right. So I have a whole lot of coaching on that. And then my extended stay rental business, I teach people how to start with nothing and how to grab someone else's harvest and plant a little bit of their harvest so that they can have a harvest of their own. Mm-hmm. I teach folks to start with nothing, on how they can focus on extended stays where people are not thinking about and make things better for their families, no matter where they're starting out or what they look like or whatever. So So that all is on my website. It's called leadinglandlord.com. Is kind of a clearinghouse. If you're interested in just extended stays, then you go to extendedstayslandlord.com, and you can see my coaching and training program that walks people through 6 steps. If they just take a step, do the task, they're going to make more money and get the same results that so many people have and change their lives. So it's not matter if you need cash flow now or if you want to catch up on your retirement. This whole thing works for you.
Yeah. Al, are you doing I love how you refer to them as the short shorts. Are you still doing some short shorts, or are you really focused more on the corporate?
Yeah, I do only corporate, only 30 days and longer. Sacramento has really bad, really strong anti-Airbnb, anti-short-term rental laws.
Oh, they do? Okay.
They do. They make it so that they make it really crush. But they don't affect me at all. Because all those ordinances are for 30 days and less.
Right.
Stay. They're called transients. That's why you pay that lodging tax when you go to your hotels.
Right.
Since you go over 30 days, you don't have to pay that anymore. You become a regular month-to-month landlord, and you follow landlord-tenant law. So that's why I only do nothing but specialize in and collect marketing tactics for 30 days and longer. So that you're in the sweet spot with the highest paying.
That's really cool, man. I'm impressed, Al. This is really good stuff.
Me too, man. And so honestly, I think it would be kind of nice to dabble with some of the short shorts, but I really prefer what Al's doing.
Extended stays, yeah.
Yeah, the extended stays. I think the extended stays make more sense.
It's like long-term.
Less competition.
Right. Absolutely. Al, tell us those websites again.
Okay, so extendedstaylandlord.com walks you through my 6-step program for that. So absolutely, it's worked for many, many people, and that is how you get into extended stays. So like the regular traditional landlord is saturated. Everyone's doing it, right?
Right.
And there's tons of people piling on doing these short shorts. If you want to set yourself up and relax, you do extended stays. There's no one thinking about it.
Yeah, there's not very much competition there other than just the big players. And then, of course, you. But in our market, there's not a whole lot of...
not in your market. I stay in Sacramento. I don't really need to go anywhere else besides Sacramento.
Right.
I don't teach. I don't teach anything in Sacramento. I don't talk.
Right.
I don't coach anybody in Sacramento. I don't talk in Sacramento.
Yeah, no, that's good though, because it keeps your competition out.
Yeah. So, and then my main website is Leading Landlord, where I post about all my different experiments.
Now, is that leading or leaving?
Leading.
Leading, leading?
Leadinglandlord.com.
Yeah. So we'll try to get this to the show.
Where all my experiments, I talk, I'm on like you guys are on the Burr series. I'm on this series called Abundance Series, where I talk about the laws of abundance, and then I actually videotape myself using them to create money out of thin air. Because we were told that money doesn't grow on trees, right? Over and over again, pounded into our heads. But it's not true. If you have the right language and a good idea, you don't need money. You just, you can use other people's money, and you pay them for their money, and you go make more money, and it really reduces the stress in your life.
Yeah, I mean, we do that with the Burr strategy, obviously. So we have private lenders that lend us purchase and rehab, and we have a property management company who helps us with the leasing and the management of the renting and whatnot, and then lots of banking partners, of course. But we pay all of our lenders back, and on average, of the 50 properties that we own, we're into them each for a little less than $500. So that's only, maybe 2 or 3 months worth of cash flow, and then we have no money in that deal.
That's exactly right. That's exactly the mindset. Absolutely. And you guys are doing long-term holds, which is super smart. Man, you guys are going to be on the beach pretty soon.
We got too much to do.
Yeah, we got a lot to do, man. I'm going to get 50 of these short-term but 30-day plus.
Long-term, short-term.
Short-term.
That's my new phrase.
Why don't you call them midterm?
Midterm. I like midterm.
I like the long-term, short-term.
Oh, sorry, guys.
Midterm. I love it, Al. No,
That's
thank you so
hilarious.
much. All right, guys. So,
Yeah, Al, thanks for coming on today.
Yes.
We really appreciate it. Guys, don't forget, check out Al's 2 websites. Make sure I got this right, Al. Leadinglandlord.com.
Perfect.
the other one is
ExtendedStayLandlord.com.
perfect.
ExtendedStayLandlord.com. Is that where you want everyone to go in terms of if they want to connect with you, or do you have any other?
Well, he's also got the book too. I know there's one book.
Got books. I'm everywhere. I'm like everywhere.
We're trying to be like, wow, man, we got a book too, but
Yeah, we're
crushing it.
Al Williamson. Yeah. I'm everywhere. No problem finding me.
Yeah, 40 ways to increase the net income of your rental property. So he's got that one out there on Amazon. And then did you say you had another one or two?
Building Wealth with Inner City Rentals is on Amazon too.
Build wealth with inner city rentals as well. We got a fire truck coming to the door here, guys.
Yeah, we're up on we're the 6th floor, and you still hear them coming down the road.
Oh yeah. Well, Al, thank you so much for coming on.
This is fun.
Again, I love talking with people that are doing things a little differently than what I'm doing, because I'm a lifelong learner. I love to learn new things, and you have actually taught me a lot in this podcast, in this episode. Sometimes I'll get on here and it's just like, okay, everything I know already. Now, all listeners obviously might not, but I love it whenever I can actually learn on a podcast.
Well, I'm excited too.
And I've learned a lot.
I'm excited
thank you.
to apply some of what Al's taught us too.
Absolutely.
So hopefully our listeners get some of that, and hopefully some of them connect with Al.
Absolutely.
Get some more of their questions answered.
That's right. All right, guys, check out Al's books. Check out his websites. He is the man. We are very happy to have Al on the show. We're grateful to Al. And again, this is a Discount Property Investor podcast. Don't forget, you make your money when you buy. You get paid when you sell. All right? Also, don't forget, we have a book, The Ultimate Guide to Wholesaling Real Estate. It is a comprehensive plan and basically everything you need to know to wholesale real estate. Mike, any closing words or statements?
Thanks for listening, guys. We appreciate you guys.
All right, guys. Until next time. Thanks.
Thanks for listening to the Discount Property Investor Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, share, and subscribe to help us reach a wider audience. To jumpstart your real estate investing career, please visit freewholesalecourse.com, the most complete free course on wholesaling real estate ever. We would also appreciate it if you left us a review on iTunes or Stitcher. Thank you in advance for your support, and remember, you make your money when you buy, and you get paid when you sell. Now let's go build some wealth.